everybody, and welcome to my very first virtual online Christmas demonstration, which has been commissioned by SAFAS, the Scottish Association of Floral Arrangement Societies. And it's been a funny old year, hasn't it? So I have actually entitled the demonstration Christmas at Home. I'm going to start off with something quite simple that maybe a lot of you can recreate. It's a terracotta plant pot, and I've just got some Oasis foam in the centre, and I've created a skirt of conifer, which is cupressus, and I'm just going to place the stems into the foam. So I absolutely love Christmas time. I love the magic of it, the lights. I adore the message, the story of Christmas, the nativity, and of course it's a double celebration for us, because we also have a birthday as well at Christmas time. I've just added the conifer around, and then I'm going to take a real wire and attach it to one of the stems of the conifer. I'm going to unroll it and bind it into the real wire. So my flower career really has gone hand in hand with Scotland. I passed my pre-national assessment demonstration in Falkirk. I entered my very first national competition in Glasgow. I remember I entered 2 classes. It's something I've never done again, and didn't make that mistake a second time. It took me so long to actually finish the first design, and I remember the tannoy, and the loudspeaker came on and said, "You have got 30 minutes left," and I hadn't even started my second design. And talk about panic. So I've never actually entered 2. Whoops. So trying to capture all the stems of the conifer. And then of course, back in Glasgow again, I demonstrated at the World Flower Show 2002, I think that was, which was entitled Florimundi. And then later on, I was in Edinburgh, and I received my very first national trophy there, which was for garden plant material, which I suppose I'm noted for. And then again, once the national show came back to Edinburgh, I was actually asked to demonstrate at that show. So Scotland has really been a first in many times in my career. And of course this is my very first complete online demonstration, so bear with me because I'm not totally au fait with the technology. I'm demonstrating to a telephone, and it's really strange because there isn't any audience, no reactions or anything like that. So you see, it's taken me a while to just catch in all these little wayward stems of the conifer, like so. And if there is any that have fallen out of the outside, so I'm just going to trim it up to create the look of a Christmas tree shape for you. Add a little bauble to the end. And of course this can give you a lot of options to actually decorate it. But I'm going to use the seed heads of a wonderful perennial plant which is called Terracotta speciosum. It used to be called buckthallman, and it has quite large leaves, and it grows and flowers about that tall, about 4.5 foot, and it's got big yellow daisies, and then they have a green centre to them, and then when the petals fade, you're left with a dark chocolate button in the centre, and of course they fade to these beige buttons. So those are just being pushed in. And as I said, many options of different ways that you can decorate these. 3 left. For the tree, but I haven't finished there. A little bit of a surprise for you. This is some jute ribbon, and I've got a buckle in the centre. So I've turned my little Christmas tree into a little elf. So my next design is going to be a traditional design using lots of wonderful foliages from the garden. I think that was a wasp, a hibernating wasp, which alarms me a little bit. Any of you that have looked at my YouTube channel and seen the videos will know that we have lots of animals here, and they usually like to steal some of the action from me, with the cockerels crowing and the ducks quacking and the geese hooting. So now I've got a nearly a full set with a wasp. And so I've already added the foliages into this design, and using the Corylus savillana contorta, the contorted hazel, focal foliage there, which is the wonderful hedera, the ivy, Paddy's Pride, also known as sulphur heart, a gold crest capressus, a thoya or thuja, which is called Rheingold, and that at this time of year gets a burnished golden orange tint to it. Ordinary header ivy and the variegated golden holly. I've managed to just, I don't know whether you can see it, I've got one piece of the yellow berried holly here, which is Cornus flavomira, and last week there was loads of berries on it, but this week the birds have gone with them. And Fatsia Muirheim at the front, and Buttercup, Hedera Buttercup, a golden green streaked ivy. So I'm going to place my flowers into this design, and I'm using the absolutely gorgeous Cymbidium. And I'm very fortunate that we have a wonderful wholesaler which is only 7 miles away from here, Flower Bank, and this is so fresh. It's actually got a gorgeous scent to it. My container is actually a Scottish shortbread tin. All the marvellous shortbread has been eaten, and kept the tin so you could put some biscuits, cake, and it says all butter Scottish shortbread, assortment baked in Edinburgh. So I actually have thought to theme my containers for you. I often like to use dried seed heads from the garden, and this is the dried seed heads of a stilby, and it's a purple coloured form which dries to this beautiful golden brown. If you use the pink flowered form, that usually dries to a paler brown. Carrying on the brown theme here, in the form of teasels, the dip Sacus. So during the lockdown, I, like many of you, have spent an enormous amount of time in the garden, but one of the things I have been doing is helping a local nurse, Belinda Fox, create a 6-mile daffodil walk, and that is in memory of the people who have lost their lives to the COVID pandemic, and also losing their lives and not having their loved ones to other illnesses in hospital as well during the pandemic. And so we've planted, with the help of fabulous local volunteers, 24,000 species of the narcissi, the daffodils, and that should flower next March. We have a Facebook page which is called Eden Valley Daffodil Walk, so if you want to take a look at that, it gives you the route and gives you a lot of information. A special mimosa, acacia, cannot grow in Cumbria, bit too wet and too cold, but I remember cutting huge swathes of it when I demonstrated in Spain. Absolutely lovely. And something new to me, I absolutely think these are, oh, they're gorgeous. They're called Coffee, and it's an Ecuadorian rose which has been, it's been tinted, and it comes in a couple of shades, and I don't mind tinted roses at all. It's had a pigment dye in the bottom of the stems, and the colour has gone up into the petals of the flower, and it still allows the flower to breathe, unlike you often see some of the roses which have been dipped in wax. Well, that does not allow them to actually breathe, and you often see roses flocked as well. Not keen am I on that, but I don't mind flowers dyed with natural dyes and pigments. Often they're white flowers as well, which take up the coloration. So that completes my second design, which is just a traditional triangular design for you. Thank you. So a homemade container next. One of the things we did every year, and we still do now, is we always have crackers at Christmas, and we all pull them as part of the Christmas festivities, and then we wear a hat which is inside the cracker, and they usually make a big snap. And so this is my take on the hat that we, I know when I was a child I didn't really want to wear the hat, you felt a bit funny about it. But if you get into the Christmas spirit, you get a joke inside the cracker and a little toy maybe, and you got the paper hat. So I took some big stub wire and I bound each piece with a wonderful product which I brought back from India, from the World Show. And this is natural jute. And it comes in many forms, and you can buy it off the internet at jutewally.com, and it's quite silky and smooth. This has a natural oiling, and that's just been bound with a copper wire, and they've been added to a little metal tripod. And then I've glued the baubles, and I've glued them on the outside and also on the inside of the ends of the stems. I've also added some spruce to start me off. I'm going to use cappuccino. And this is another rose. This is not dyed, this is its natural colour. So it's a good job I like coffee, isn't it? So when you go onto the YouTube, you'll see under the bottom of the video, you'll see an area where you can comment. And if anybody wants to ask a question about the demonstration or flowers I've used or anything in the foliage that I've missed telling you what it is, please ask a question in the comments and I will reply to you and answer for you as well. And of course, if you fancy, just click the subscribe button. Which, if I get quite a few subscribers, then I can go live on YouTube, but you need a few subscribers for that. So a silver variegated holly to create the top of the crown, the paper hat. And then to finish off, I've got a lovely little micro gerbera, or the Transvaal daisy. This originated in South Africa as a wildflower, and then it was hybridised, and now we have them in all colours. When they first came out in the late 70s, and they used to not be very, they used to flop, and I think I'm going into the, yes, hitting the tape which is securing the foam. They used to not have a good constitution at all, actually. They used to flop, and then there was quite a few little gadgets that came about which you could wires and insert underneath the heads to keep them upright. But now, years on, they have a good vase life now. One thing I will tell you is a little tip: they don't like contaminated water. They're a flower that actually likes clean water all the time. So there we are, my representation